Ho, ho, ho! Merry Crypto Christmas! And I don't care where you're from, you should all be able to get on board for the Merry Crypto Christmas train. Hope everybody's having a great night tonight. Those of you listening on the podcast, what's up, everybody? It's your man, Joe Blackburn. I'm joined with none other than, and as usual, Mr. Jim Scampoli. What's going on, Jim?
Yo, it's the night before Christmas, or crypto Christmas, I guess. Welcome, everybody, to such a festive evening.
That's right. And if you're listening to this and you're not watching it, I am wearing my crypto Christmas hat, my hodl hat, and I'm very proud of it. I actually think I might start wearing it more. It kind of looks cool with my hair coming out of the bottom of it. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. For those watching right now, what's up, everybody? It is the Christmas Eve, and obviously crypto's worldwide. I know not everybody celebrates it. Happy holidays or happy normal day for those of you that are just experiencing the 25th of December as if it was just a regular day. I know that happens for a lot of folks, but most importantly, Bitcoin has sustained a nice price. Are you surprised, Jim? We've held 7,000. I know that a lot of people were calling for low, and it's stayed.
Well, yeah, it was nice after last week's live when we were talking about Star Wars and football for like 40 minutes. Woke up to the price going up, so nice little bounce.
That's right.
I guess it's been a week of not talking about Star Wars and football. Things might start tumbling down a bit.
Hey, no, look, we might need to make sure that we do this all the time because I'm not one to break traditions, especially if they mean that Bitcoin price is going up. Nevertheless, we are around $7,300. A couple days ago, we visited the $7,500 level. And, I feel like that's a really, really healthy sign that Bitcoin's got some bullish days in front of it. In fact, I've seen a lot of the bigger names start shifting gears when we didn't continue to drop. But I want to say this in all seriousness is that, crypto for Christmas, still perfect time for those last minute gifts, right? Bitcoin is literally one of the best gifts to give somebody. And if they're not paying for it, they can't complain about the price of it, period. Right? They got it for free anyways. So look, whether it's 5, 10, 15, 1,500 or $50, whatever you can afford. If you need a last minute gift, there's a lot of different places you can go to do this. Obviously, I use Coinbase, but I've had somebody on recently with being able to give Bitcoin.io. I thought that was a really good alternative to the Coinbase buying and selling aspect. And you can lock it up for a year. Lock it up for 3 years. And I've been saying that I need a crypto piggy bank. Jim, do you agree with that though? Like that, it's if you could just give people Bitcoin and it would be locked up literally for a year and they couldn't sell it, it would maybe entice you more to give it.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. And I guess it's almost like, back in the olden days, given a savings bond or whatever, like your grandparents would give you like a savings bond. And then I don't even really know the savings bonds in general, but like it was kind of similar where it's like, hey, maybe this will be worth more. You can't touch this money. So yeah, and especially with something like Bitcoin, where you kind of have to keep your grubby mitts off of it for a while. I think it can only be a good thing.
Hey, no, agreed. All right, so I'm actually just now sharing this in the CCT. I always, Jim, you gotta stay on me, man. You gotta stay on me. I know, right? All right, so last time we talked, though, I've got to ask you about I haven't seen Star Wars yet, and obviously no spoilers. Those of you who have not watched it, I haven't either. But I know you gave me some thoughts of yours, and that you pretty much tell me that you're a little disappointed.
Yeah, I didn't love it. I didn't love the new Star Wars. A lot of people did, so don't just take my word for it. A lot of people did enjoy it. It's definitely seems like people have been fairly split online. A lot of people loved it. A lot of people kind of disappointed. I did see it twice, so that does show you something. I've seen it twice. It only came out last Thursday night. Played a little bit better on the second time. I guess there's just some. It's a fun movie. It's great effects.
Sure,
fun action. It's just getting over some of the story choices that didn't jive well with me.
I guess that she fell asleep. I'm assuming she's talking about during the movie, which is interesting. I love Star Wars. I'm a Star Trek guy by nature, but I can appreciate Star Wars. I don't think they're connected. I've said this before. The only different or the only similarity that Star Trek and Star Wars has is they both have star in their title, and that's it, right? So, but I still do love the idea, the concept, and the storyline of Star Wars. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. I will wait probably until it calms down a little bit. I'm not dying. I'm not rushing out there to see it like I will be for when the next Star Trek comes out. But I will definitely be there. But something I want to kind of transition into is Don't Fuck with Cats, the new show on Netflix. And I got to give a huge shout out to Deanna Thompson. She was one of the original OG members of CCT. She is one of the main characters in that documentary. I guess not characters, main, focal points of that documentary. If you have not watched it yet, it is intense. That is Jim, have you watched it?
I have not. I did see the chatter and some of the posts on CCT about the CCT sticker popping up, and yeah, one of the users was on there.
Really cool.
Kind of what's something to do with like some cats that got killed online and people hunted them down or something, right?
All right. So it's I was expecting, and look, I want to make sure I give Deanna humongous, incredible props. This woman did her part. She was probably the main focal point as the perspective comes from. And, knowing Deanna, I had no idea she was ever involved in this. And this was back in 2010, I think, is when it stated. I started watching it. I was like, I'll watch one episode tonight. And then I literally could not stop watching it. So if you have not seen it, and I'm not one for, weird documentaries, this was, if not the best, one of the best I've ever seen. But I also have questions about it too. And I don't want to spoil it at all for anybody who hasn't watched it. But essentially it's this, is that, there was a video posted back in like 2010 about this guy who made a video he stuffed two alive, beautiful, wonderful kittens into a bag, a vacuum bag, where you could. I mean, it was okay as they entered, but obviously the exit was not very pleasant, and the video made a lot of noise, and social media was just becoming what it is today. And it rallied some troops, and they created a group. And before you know it, there's a bunch of people who were really interested in finding this dude. And such begins one of the most intense and just utterly like interesting. And I hate to say that in an entertainment way, because it is not a nice story, the whole thing, but it is exceptionally captivating. It's something that I would recommend as go watch this first. Like I would tell you, Jim, if you haven't watched it, Jim, you better go watch it tonight, dude. Like you're not going to be able to stop. It's worth it. Anyways, so I'm going to stop there, but there's more to the story. It's not just about that. And it becomes intertwined. And there's some really cool, like, I don't want to say it's a cool story, because it's not. It's a terrible story. But what Deanna did and what her partner and a few others in the way I'll tell you this much though. I'll just put it to you this way: the Canadian police need to get their act together. Maybe they have. It's been like almost a decade now, but that's all I'm going to say. I was like, man, I know there's a lot of things you can say bad about the police, but geez, in the United States, they would have figured this out, man. They would have been over. I was like, oh, how could you not? What the? Are you joking? I was like literally yelling. Anyways, but I'm going through this. Deanna Thompson, amazing member of CCT. She was really, really involved early on. She's a huge crypto advocate, has been for some time. And she had the crypto coin trader sticker over the HP. I guess it was the HP or whatever brand of the computer it was, because they didn't have, I guess, the rights to be able to put that on there. So she put over the CCT sticker. And I mean, it's the coolest thing that's happened to CCT in my opinion.
That's a cool shout out. And yeah, I mean, I'm kind of picking up what you're saying, where you're saying like, yeah, you don't want to say it's a cool story because it sounds like there's some villainous people involved. Although it sounds like there's some really cool heroes involved.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's what sounds.
There's a twist too.
Is it like? Do you know offhand how many episodes is it? Is there like a lot? I think
it's 3. I watched all 3 of them last night. I think I finally got to bed around 2:30 or 3 a.m. and which was like 1 o'clock your time. But I mean, I had to get up early this morning, like 8, so I was like, man, this sucks, but it was worth it. I would have done it again. I might even rewatch it tonight. There's just so much going on. I'm telling you, Jim, if you don't watch it tonight, and if I don't get a text from you saying I watched it, I'm actually going to be mad at you. I don't care what you got to do.
Well, yeah, I mean, if there's one thing Netflix knows, it knows how to keep you up where you're like, I'll watch one of these. And the next thing you know, yeah, it's like 3, 4 in the morning. You've watched, 3, 4 hours of a show or a movie, miniseries, whatever. So
for sure.
Cool to see. And actually, yeah, what a great, fun shout out to CCT and one of the heroes in the group. That's awesome.
Yep. No, it was really cool. Anyways, so enough about that. We'll get into a little bit of the theme tonight, and that is, as the title says, what do you want for crypto Christmas? And I've been making my list. I've been checking it not just twice, but even 3 or 4 times, and I've kind of repositioned a few things on what my expectations have been. And if and Jim, I know you remember this, but I kind of went on a little rant not too long ago about what are our expectations? How should we expect Bitcoin to be, and how realistic are those expectations? And it's really important to me that people have a really good grasp of what's going to transpire in 2020. Not that anybody actually knows, but keeping a realistic outlook is something that hasn't always been the case in crypto, and I'm just as guilty as anybody else. But maybe that is just the capitulation that everybody's been saying. It's got to capitulate, which means like everybody's just got to finally give up, right? Like, oh, it's whatever. I'm done. I hate this. This space will never recover. But at that point, and I'm sitting here, I'm a bull. I'm a constant optimist, Jim, and you know this. So does everybody else. But when I'm like, you know what? Maybe we do need to be here for a minute, and maybe we are where we should be. I don't know. Maybe that's the time it goes up.
Well, I mean, yeah, I guess you're talking about like realistic expectations, and I think it's good that you always stress that, and I think it definitely helps when things might be in a downturn, because, like I think we said last week, because we're in kind of a mighty downturn last week, and then like right after we recorded, things are on the come up. I think you're right. Your words mattered. You got through people out there, but like I know a lot of it's clickbait, and this isn't just something that happens in the crypto community. But like scrolling through like Cointelegraph right now, Bitcoin can hit 250K in 2020, reaffirms Tim Draper. Yep. So like stuff like that, I understand it's kind of a good thing, but then does that also have negative like side effects as well, where people are always throwing out these like, obviously McAfee has his own thing where he's good at getting eyes and attention and whatnot. But when people keep throwing out numbers like this and then it dips to like 6,200, does it kind of backfire where people are like, oh, what are you talking about? 250K? I'm trying to get to 8 right now. Jesus.
Okay. And that's a great question, Jim. And I like to answer it like this. If you go back in time and throughout Bitcoin's existence, Bitcoin has had a very steady climb up. If you just remove, the 2 or 3 months of, and David Hoverman was one of the people who pointed this out. I mean, I've said it before too, but David really did give a good outlook on this on that last live that I did. If you remove a couple months out of the year, of 2017, you really have this steady climb up, and then we've kind of just, gone sideways, at this price. And the FOMO, the excitement, the anticipation of it could continue to go up, the public's new money entering the space and inflated Ethereum price, all these things, contributed to a substantial rise. But most importantly, what happened is, even though we did come back down, we have recovered to a very reasonable price. And it sounds like a broken record sometimes, but if you go back and you say 2, 3, 4, 5 years ago, Bitcoin's going to be $7,000 one day, nobody would believe you. Nobody.
Yeah.
Right? Nobody would be like, hey, dude, you are so right. They'd be like, bro, you are insane. Like, Bitcoin can't get to $7,000 or $8,000, $6,000. Come on, bro. Like, don't scare people off. Well, guess what? Then it happened. Yeah. And now we have these expectations that it's failure right now because we're not back at a certain price, which is wrong. It's only not back at a certain price if you bought in there. And yeah, sure. I mean, we would all like Bitcoin to be $20,000 immediately today or yesterday for that matter. It doesn't mean it won't, right? And so today I look at the price of $100,000, Jim, and I say, and me and Baz, I had a conversation with him not too long ago about this. $100,000 is the new $10,000. What $1,000 Bitcoin saw $10,000 as, 1,000% gains. Nobody was taking that seriously. Well, that's what we are today, right? We are at a point where $100,000 feels impossible based off of how, like, where is it going to come from? Who's going to enter to make this go up? Who's going to buy at that price, right? Yeah. But nobody could ever see anybody buying at today's price, dude, right? And I stress this. We're coming up on the 11th year of Bitcoin's existence. All it's ever done is prove everybody wrong. And it's because there's a formula to it, folks. It's not about the charts. It's about the actual use case of Bitcoin, the rarity, the limited supply, and that will always continue to be the case. It's never going to change. It's never not going to be rare. 21 million Bitcoin, that's it forever, folks. And at best case scenario, 21 million people can own 21 million people can own one Bitcoin. Not to mention the fact that we've lost 5 million Bitcoin. Not to mention the fact that most people won't have that ability because there will be hoarders and people who have 100, 200, 1,000 Bitcoin. I mean, it changes the game, folks. You don't realize it does come down to math, and Bitcoin's not going to lose a whole bunch of people where they're just like, I'm never getting back in this. No, if you're listening to this, you're probably going to stay in Bitcoin for a while. You're at least going to be paying attention to it. What's up, Forrest? Long time no see, brother. Congrats on the new house, man.
Yeah, and I guess to be fair, like when you go past the headline, they're more talking about like 250K by 2022, although they do hint that potentially you could start seeing sky high levels by the end of 2020. So, I mean, you know how clickbait works, you know how the media works. It's all about getting those eyes, all about getting those clicks. But yeah, I just think it's interesting because it's like, I understand these headlines and kind of exactly like what you're saying. It feels impossible, but like you said, now felt impossible not too long ago.
Yep.
It's just, I guess it's those hit harder if you're in like the tougher times when it seems like things are on a downswing, because you're like, all right, what was all that other talk about? What are we talking? Now we're thinking 3,500. What was all that 250K talk?
That's right. Yeah. No, I mean, and like that's the thing is you have to have realistic expectations, right? Like it has to be, hey, that may not happen. And anybody telling you anything for sure is going to happen. If I say Bitcoin's for sure going to be at $8,000 tomorrow or next week or next month, I'm guessing. No, sure. If we could all freaking tell the future, we would have done this a long time ago. We would be living on our beach, right? Right, Jim?
Oh, for sure.
I mean, we'd have a Jim and Joe Island adventure where you could come and you could just like live for free because we'd be so rich with so much Bitcoin, it wouldn't even matter, if we could tell the future. Yeah, I mean, we would just own the whole world. We would just be like, yep, I bet on this game. Yep, I bet on Bitcoin. Yep, I bet on gold. And nobody can do that. And if they can, they're doing it really well and they're doing it secretly so they don't abuse it so nobody else figures it out.
So just hanging with, like we said, the guy from Office Space at the end when he's hanging out on the beach. Yeah.
I had somebody actually write me a message about my stapler comment, and he showed me that someone actually made the stapler. So pretty cool. I'm sure they got rich as hell. If I went to the store and I needed a stapler and I saw a red stapler, I would literally buy that just for. I mean, especially if it was the same price, even if it was like $1 or $2 more, I'd buy it, wouldn't you?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
You have to. It's like it's not like in that spot anymore where it's like uncool. Like, oh, everybody's got a red stapler. No, it's like right now, it's like you're an OG if you have a red stapler.
So, well, I was also skimming through like when you shared this. It was actually Fred Krueger who was on the show not too long ago when he's kind of breaking down end of the year thoughts. So, like. Libra, for example, like, he mentioned like kind of one of the biggest failures this year and probably no-go for even going into next year. So what happened is that just government stuff? Is that just, perspective? What's going on there, you think?
So the most beautiful thing about that is how? Okay, and Jim, I'm asking you this question first. I'm going
Yeah.
to answer your question with a question. How is it that a perceived cryptocurrency, crypto project, blockchain project, should I say, was called into Congress and sitting in front of the floor and answering questions, and Bitcoin wasn't?
Yeah. Interesting.
How does that happen?
Because they have a head. They have
Oh,
some,
they're centralized,
yeah,
right?
someone you could call in.
So, number one, the answer to your question
Although to be
is,
fair, they could have called in Joe Blackburn to speak on Bitcoin's behalf.
oh, do not put, please. No, actually, I refute that. Please do not ask me to come to Congress. For several different reasons. Well, number one, I'll be like really honest and be like excited as hell. Hey, I'm in front of Congress. I will. I want to live stream that. Can we put the? Let me go to Congress and let's. Can you build a studio inside? The house.
Yeah, we could just green screen you.
Hey, fair enough.
AOC
No.
giving you a cross examination.
Oh man, yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Ock. I'm gonna call her Ock from now on, which sounds like a cool Star Wars name or even a Star Trek name.
It does.
Ock. Yeah, Ock and I would have some really cool conversation. Anyways, but what happened with Libra is that people. I mean, and this is speculative, right?
Yeah.
For the most part, I don't believe that our government is the worst government on earth. I don't think that they're out to get us or to kill us or to put us in a bunch of like little small jail cells where we're all going to end up being socialist pieces of shit for the rest of our life. All right, that's not what I'm saying here. But at the same time, you have to think that there's a lot of bigger things involved and there's a lot of big money involved in government. And a lot of people get really rich from government, right? Whether you're a defense contractor, whether you're a politician, whether you're the president, there's a lot of things happening where a shakeup of the status quo can cause a lot of pushback. I think you're seeing a lot of that with Trump right now, but I mean, obviously that's a personal opinion, and I'm not saying good or bad on that level. Now, what I will go into though is that the governments don't like things that they cannot control, and that is not unique to the United States. That's not unique to Europe. That's not unique to Asia. That's unique to human nature. If you're in control and you see something that might really change things a lot, you're gonna be interested. And let's be honest, America has it pretty good. And so to introduce a new currency of any type, and look, let's not pretend like Facebook may not be the most powerful influence in the whole world. It, to me, how much more influence can you get than Facebook? I mean, they can give you a message if they want. They can put something in your inbox. They can make you see what they want you to see or not want you to see. They are literally the most influential, not powerful necessarily, but influential, which influences power in a lot of ways. Why would you want to hand them the keys to the bank and become the bank? They would. The next empire is not a physical empire. It is who takes control of the digital internet, and Facebook's well on their way. So that's my opinion, is that the reason why and look, it may not be a bad thing. I mean, if Facebook was decentralized and they were taking it over and replacing Bitcoin, I mean, if it's the same thing, I mean, of course I'd be disappointed that my Bitcoin is not going to go up anymore, but I would definitely say that on a ethical level, this is kind of what I've been hoping for, Jim, right? Take the money away from the power. Let money be sovereign. Can you imagine sovereign money? Right? It doesn't exist.
Yeah. Well, and so, but I do kind of agree with you. It's not so much that like people in power are doing it out of like self-interest for us, the people.
Sure.
They're doing it out of fear of losing their own power.
Yep.
Because even going into that, when they brought Facebook in, most of the headlines it's mostly about what fake news and how they handle the way information's being spread on their platform. And again, I don't believe that they're doing that because they have some sort of greater good self-interest. It's that they're getting a little worried that they're losing some of their own influence.
Now, wouldn't you though? Like that's the thing about this, is that everything that people accuse Facebook of, I always wonder, and I even bring this back on a selfish level. People have accused me of running CCT a certain way, right? And that's fine. I'm open to, what's up, Steve Muhammad? I see that Sangha joined us as well. Inga, how's it going? You know, whether it's myself running a Facebook group, or whether it's, Congress and the Senate, the House, whoever it might be running whatever entity it is, people are going to complain. People are going to have opinions, and that's fine. I'm always open to criticism. I'm open to doing things better and learning. I don't think I know how to run the Facebook group of the best Facebook group in the whole world. I think I have one of the best and the coolest Facebook groups in the whole world, but I don't think, that I've learned everything there is to learn. I'm constantly learning these things, and it's an evolving space. But think about this, Jim. If somebody were to come to me and be like, "Hey, Joe, I heard about this new Facebook group. They are looking to displace you." At first, not worried. Nah, whatever. I mean, let them try, but then let them have like some way of completely taking over and then doing whatever they want to do to the crypto space. I might have an opinion on that at some point, right?
Sure.
Even if it's not like I'm worried about losing my influence. I have a huge influence. I have a wonderful, wonderful community, and I'm very proud and I'm very respectful of that community. But what if I thought that community that was popping up was not the right? Well, let's just say it was like an XRP, bank shill fest, where, get rid of crypto, let's have some more centralization, or, more, maybe potentially like world dominating, thoughts, where everybody, I might want to fight back against that. And even if everybody's opinion is relative, and I don't want to, I'm trying not to make this too big of a deal. I'm not trying to over compare myself here,
Sure.
but I just think about it like as if, what if another Facebook group was coming up in crypto that was doing something that was a little bit more malicious, potentially, not necessarily saying that's Facebook's intention. I do think Facebook's idea is honest to a certain extent, but I know that Zuckerberg knows what's happening. I know he knows the power that I think this dude wants power. I mean, Zuckerberg's given me no reason to think that he's a great guy. You know, I think he's a brilliant genius, but I have no reason to think that this dude is just like here to help everybody. No, the he's one of the billionaires that are richest in the world. Dude's loving life, chilling, watching people make posts and fighting about politics.
Yeah. Well, I always think the interesting thing is, especially when people get into the whole like fake news, like for whatever point of view you're coming from. I just love that people try to act like they're the ones that are not susceptible, where they're always like, whether it be the left wing, they're spreading their fake news, or the right wing, they're spreading their fake news. And it's like, no, we all gobble up whatever.
Have you ever spread fake news before?
Like like to troll people?
No. Oh yeah, of course, the troll.
But like sometimes you see a headline and you think it's real and you share it, and then you feel like an idiot.
I did it the other day on accident about global.
Sure. I think everyone's had that, where you're like, oh, this is not real, or sometimes it's even like, this is an old headline, this is not a current thing. And you're like, oh shit, because you just skim it or you see the headline and you share it. But yeah, I just think that's interesting, because whether it be like AOC or Donald Trump, and everyone thinks like, oh, well, no, the Russians are for you. And, it's just interesting the way people use it more as like a, like I'm smarter than you platform, where they're like, blaming Facebook for people that don't do their own research when they just read a headline or join a group and see other posts. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And the thing is, it's like, that's how things have always been, as far as whether it be politics or just advertising in general. Oh, go buy Coke, go buy Pepsi. It just so happens that maybe more people can manipulate it now, because you can get a social media account that has influence.
No, you know what? I thought about this, Jim. You bring up a really good point there. There's a lot that's going to change over the next 10 to 15 years. Right. I mean, I think we've all been privileged to be part of the most recent change, but overall, technology as a whole, what is the goal of technology, Jim?
Typically, it's to make life easier.
Yeah, to make us lazier, to make us more complacent, and to be able to enjoy, the laziness of life. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, like the more you can do what you want to do, the better, right? I mean, we're in a beautiful, beautiful era of the world, one that has, I mean, even 30, 40 years ago did not exist. I mean, people did not just chill on the couch, trade Bitcoin and make a living and get really rich. I mean, people are still doing that today, obviously, but that's only been a recent development. And typically you had to have money to make a lot of money back in the day, or you could work hard and retire at 60 and and live a good life, of what you've built, and hopefully you paid off all your debt, your house, and you don't have too much left, and you can just give your kids your money. But we're in an age now where things have changed a lot, and those changes are just beginning. If you look into the 15, 25 years from now, Jim, how different is the world? Like, I mean, like how much more can we make things easier, right? Like what's next in this? And in return, how many people lose jobs because of robots, right?
Oh, for sure.
It's a big deal. It's not a small thing, folks. It's a big deal. Now, there's definitely not, it's not like people aren't going to have jobs to do. There's going to be things that need to get done, but the jobs are going to become more rare, and there's going to have to be a certain way of making an income, and people are already making income entertaining other people because there's extra money, there's extra free time, and when you don't have free time, you can't watch a Facebook or a Twitter or a YouTube video, right? And
Right.
this is only going to continue. So people who have influence now, the people who have an actual reach, that is a big freaking deal over the next few years. Now, tie in a crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain style business or some sort of topic. There's some really big potential here, and I really encourage folks to really take advantage of this moment in time when it's still. You might think it's crowded, but it ain't crowded yet, folks. In fact,
Yeah.
I think it's the least crowded it's ever been in this space. And it needs more good people, especially if you're a listener. If you're somebody who wants to do this, I would encourage you for several different reasons. But number one, because people need to be able to hear. And it doesn't matter if it's me, doesn't matter if it's Jim, doesn't matter who it is. We just want the message to get out. So I'm hoping more people start taking advantage of this moment in time and see the future. I mean, Jim, like, what do you think 25 years from now? What are people doing for a living?
I mean, that's interesting. I don't know. I think 25 years from now, we got to go Yang Gang, because if we got robots running the world, we need Yang to be sending us our basic income, just sending us checks in the mail while we sit at home in the robot.
Give me that free money. Hey,
But
look, I like Yang. I'm a Yang fan.
you make a great point, though, and I think one of the important things with that is that, like with the opening up of free time and more avenues of entertainment, I think what one of the big things that some of these younger influencers, whether it be more on its entertainment side, like a YouTuber or Twitch streamer or something like that, I think those people are going to have to get smarter as far as doing more of the legwork on their end. Because when you hear stuff about how, like, oh, the YouTube adpocalypse, and how like some of these companies like YouTube or Twitch may decide to change their guidelines, or they change how they monetize and how they allow you to get paid. But these people end up having these big audiences and they don't know how to leverage it properly, because then they just start blaming YouTube. And it's like, well,
It's so true. Yep.
you have, 1 million followers or whatever. You could go find your own sponsors and your own, like, you can leverage that audience in your own way. You don't have to worry about YouTube changing their stuff. And I think that's kind of like a harsh lesson a lot of people are starting to learn, especially with things like YouTube, or even like just social media in general, whether it be Twitter or Facebook, when they start changing the way their algorithms work. And if they start like maybe trying to hide your group or your page or whatever, because they don't deem it part of their guidelines.
Yeah,
I think people
a huge victim of that in general as a whole.
Yeah, I think people just need to really start like realizing the power that they have, because yeah, YouTube has a lot of power. Yeah, Facebook has a lot of power. I don't see them going away anytime soon.
Correct.
But you got to remember, like, you have a user base and you could really leverage that on your own as well.
No, well said. And as this space and blockchain continues, I mean, and I'll bring up this point right now, Jim. is I don't know if everybody who saw or who's listening may have seen this or not, but the Pentagon issued this warning essentially about DNA tests like 21andMe and Ancestry.com. They're like, look, this is an invasion of your privacy potentially because there is no backup on who's getting your DNA. Like we don't know. Like it's not necessarily safe for you to give a company your DNA, and there's no real rule. I mean, there's rules about your privacy, but this kind of is a little bit different. It's not medical. I mean, and I don't want to speak for the CIA or the Pentagon here, but pretty much what they were getting at was, look, you're sending your DNA to people that nobody knows what the hell is happening to your DNA, right? They're telling you something, but how many times have you been lied to by some company, right? I mean,
Yeah. I mean,
whether it
even
be the government or company, what's that?
I mean, especially Facebook.
Exactly right. Right. And, I mean, so, I mean, first and foremost, the first thing I want to say is, duh. Like, what do you think, folks? I mean, do not do that. I mean, you want to see where where your ancestry came from. Maybe not all of you, most of you. I mean, like, if you're a white guy, you came from Europe. Okay. All right. Like, who cares what part of Europe?
Hold on. Have you done one of these?
No, absolutely not.
I've done 23andMe.
Oh, got him. What did you find out?
I'm 6.4% sub-Saharan African. So take that, you piece of trash.
What is the other 94%?
I am 0.3% Ashkenazi Jewish.
Okay.
I'm also 1.4% Western Asian and North African. So actually, if you add up, and then 1.4% East Asian Native American as well. So I'm actually 10% person of color. When you
okay, so I want you to do me a favor. I want you to hang out in Harlem and go tell people that you're black.
I mean, I've already, I haven't done it in Harlem, but I mean, I've already made these claims, because the numbers don't lie. But yes, I'm 88.8% European.
Okay.
But
yeah, you're a white guy.
This is not common. This is a high range of African and Asian. So that's where a lot of my culture comes from.
Well, fair enough. I'm not here to fight or argue, but I feel like you're a white guy, and obviously, I have respect for all cultures, all personalities, all types, all religions. I respect humans as humans first, but I don't think you're very black, Jim. And I mean that, like, with all due respect, I know that you probably can, summon parts of that heritage in some capacity. Hopefully, things that you won't have to show me, and I wish you the best in that endeavor. But what I'm getting at here is that 23andMe, Ancestry.com, regardless of what's a couple percent, you might have some Hispanic in you, or you might have some sub-Saharan African, or whatever it might be. It might be down there somewhere. Congratulations. But is it worth your privacy? Like, what does knowing that do for you?
You just know where it came from. It just gives you.
Explain to me how big of a deal that is.
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but I also get why you'd want to do one of these though too, because
now, don't get me wrong, there are people who probably can.
My friend did it. He's like 98% European, so I get it. Like, it's his is boring.
Sure.
Like, and I think it's all like British and Irish or something like that. It was like 95% British and Irish, and then like 4% like Southern European or something bizarre like that. That's boring. I get it. He's boring. He's a boring person. But see me, I'm not a boring person. Oh, sorry, I'm getting Facebook messages. I'm not a boring person. You know what? I'm between Sub-Saharan African, East Asian Native American, and West Asian North African. I'm 10%, and then throw in another 5.2% Spanish and Portuguese. So I'm like 15% person of color.
No, Spanish and Portuguese folks are not Central and South American folks. Those are white folk.
I know, but still, we're Spanish and Portuguese. We're the people that started the Mexicans. You know what I mean? So I'm still a person of color, basically. I'm counting it.
No, Mexicans are natives that were, I guess.
What language they speak?
They speak Spanish, yes.
Hell yeah, baby. That's right. That's me.
Okay, so you're gonna go tell Native Americans who speak English that they're white.
Well, no, my Native American, I'm only 1.5%. So I don't.
That's not what I was saying, but okay, I have some Native
I
American
don't
in me too.
pretend to be an authority
All
among
right,
Native American.
we'll move on from this. The point of what my comment and the reason why I brought this up, because this could be a really fun conversation, but maybe not appropriate, is that the blockchain offers the solution for the problems that the Pentagon is literally saying, "Hey, I warn you against this because your privacy could be tampered with a bit, or it could be exposed, or you could be a victim of some sort of theft when it comes to this." And that's not a good thing.
But here's the thing. I mean, I understand, like, I guess maybe there's implications for the future, like what they're going to make an illegal clone of you or something. I understand these are the dangers. But honestly, like you were just saying.
How about this? Maybe not an illegal clone. What about setting you up for a crime that you didn't commit?
That's fair. Okay. What you think they're going to How to Make a Murderer of Me if we go back to Netflix?
Hey, go tell somebody 15 years ago that putting your email address online is a big deal.
Oh yeah, fair enough. But I do want to say real quick. You know who killed the person? That guy from How to Make a Murderer. That guy's guilty. Just want to put that.
Wait, didn't they just exonerate him?
Maybe not Brendan. The young kid, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt, but that other guy, he did. Come on now.
Okay, no, but like literally, like I think like this week something happened where he was found like literally like not guilty or something.
I did not hear that. If that's the
I don't want to speak I don't want to speak facts because I don't know them. But I did hear something. Maybe you could Google it real quick while I go on this next rant about privacy on the blockchain and how it solves all the problems in the whole world, folks. Right? The boomers, they don't realize it. It's coming, folks. The blockchain is here to fix these problems. You can secure your data. You can secure these things. You can put the results in a blockchain format where it will be secure, where you can have access and only the other party. And that cannot be compromised if the code is written correctly. Now, obviously, if a human made it, there's potential for error. I'm not pretending like every blockchain or every project inside blockchain is perfect. Obviously, we've been shown that it's not the case. But I will say this, the future of every transaction, whether that be a digital form of data transaction, whether that be monetary, whether that be, just a digital handshake saying, I'm going to go and check the scores for you. There can be something that can be used called the blockchain to verify and confirm that these things happen. Obviously, not everything is on the blockchain yet, but tell me that it's not coming. And for that reason alone, I'm not saying that's going to make Bitcoin be $1 million, but I'm going to promise you the influence of that security that the blockchain gives companies, and then it slowly resonates with the population. Blockchain is the way to make this happen. Bitcoin becomes that much more credible, becomes that much more real, becomes that much more useful to people who are concerned with what the hell is going on with my internet transactions. Data, money, doesn't matter. All the above fit into the category of I don't need everybody else to know what the hell I'm doing. Not because I'm committing a crime, because it's none of your damn business. Period.
Yep.
And I don't have to explain myself. You don't have to explain yourself, Jim. Inga doesn't have to explain herself. Danny doesn't have to explain himself. Lisa doesn't have to explain herself. People watching. You don't have to have a reason for wanting people to get out of your business, including the government. Now, I have no problem, and I don't want to say this in a way that gives the wrong impression. I give up some freedoms to have other freedoms, and I don't mind doing those things. Jim, do you mind giving up some freedoms to make sure that, I don't mind not carrying around a fully automatic machine gun. That makes sense to me, right? I get it.
I was also going to say that, though, isn't the blockchain can also be part of your privacy, but it also is the ultimate, like, everything's out in the open. I don't have anything to hide as well.
Well, yes. I mean, when you're saying that as if, like, if you're checking my Bitcoin transaction, sure. Yeah, you can see if you know my address and you know who I am, but that is not the case in all blockchain transactions. Go ask a Monero recipient, yeah,
that's what I mean, because I'm just saying there's like that, like duality, I guess, like depending on how you're using it.
How it's written. Yeah. I mean, like, what is the use case? What is it for? I promise you this much. Somebody will use the blockchain and do it right. Now, Bitcoin's already done it right. I don't mind my transactions being on the internet. That doesn't bother me. It's on the blockchain. It's there forever. Hey, every transaction I've ever made with my Bitcoin wallet, guess what? It's there forever, Jim. But you had to know who I was for that to happen.
Sure.
Right?
Yep.
Now, typically speaking, Bitcoin users have gotten complacent of recent, but in the past, they've been very aware of this situation. And there's, without question, ways to protect yourself, even within the blockchain that Bitcoin is. And I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm not saying that it's impossible to figure it out who is what or what is who, but there's always reasonable doubt. And that is not to say that you should be creating something that you can commit a crime on, or that I just know how to make sure that people aren't in my business. Period. I don't have to explain that thing. That's my right. I can do whatever the hell I want to do. And unless I'm breaking the law or doing something that adversely affects you, you have no reason to know what the hell I'm doing unless I tell you. And vice versa. Privacy is the ultimate form of freedom. Privacy. And that's what it comes down to. Privacy is freedom. Now, privacy, let's just say this. On the most extreme level, Jim, stay with me. This is a little bit weird.
Okay.
On a most extreme level, a murderer who kills somebody, but nobody knows, he's only a murderer to himself, and nobody else knows that. Is that true or false?
So you're kind of doing almost like a tree falls in the forest and no one's around.
I think it's a fair assessment, right?
I mean, I guess technically you are correct, because, there are murderers that go to work every day and, they get excited about a new episode of The Mandalorian, and it's just no one knows they're a murderer.
Or don't fuck with cats.
Yeah.
Which has some of those qualities of what I just spoke about. Now, obviously, I hope that all people who are murderers and serial killers and people who wish harm on that level are apprehended and removed from society, as the peaceful people of the world deserve. And that's why we have police forces, and that's why we have government officials who are tasked with that obligation and that responsibility. But even on that level, if you murdered somebody and nobody else knows, your privacy has been protected. Now, again, I'm not trying to actually compare this to the reason why you should use Bitcoin. I'm just saying privacy is freedom. When you have privacy, you have freedom. Is there a reason that maybe we shouldn't have complete privacy? Absolutely. Not because I'm going to do something wrong, not because Jim's going to do something wrong, but because there are people who are for sure going to do things wrong. For sure. It's been proven every second, every minute, every hour, every month, every year, every decade, every century of every human aspect. I promise you, people are committing crimes as we speak.
No. Around Christmas, Joe?
Around Christmas.
God damn.
So I'm okay with giving up small amounts of freedom to enjoy other types of freedom, right? Which is security and safety. But sure, there's a balance here, right? A balance. The blockchain can be written in code that balances. I'm not here to fight with maximalists. I'm not here to fight with every anarchist. I don't give a shit what you have to say. I respect your opinion, but I don't really care. There's a level of realistic expectations for what the blockchain can do. And if you want anarchy, your Bitcoin's not going up. Period.
Yeah.
People are going to be like, this is wrong. You've got to conform. You have to assimilate to a certain point. And if you say I'm wrong, you're a fool. You can go live by yourself in the woods and do your own thing. No problem. But not everybody can do that. And if you think everybody can go live out in the woods, you're going to have a lot of neighbors. And next thing you know, you're just going to start the whole cycle over again, because everybody's going to be trying to live by themselves. Next thing you know, it's going to just make sense that people live next to each other and start working. They're going to make profit doing this. Next thing you know, you have to elect somebody to make sure that decisions are made. Before you know it, your anarchy has just become another government.
Well, it's kind of hilarious to picture someone that wants like Bitcoin to go up, but they also want anarchy, where it's like
No, anarchy.
Yeah, you want to be rich, but you also want there to be no rules. And it's like, all right, no rules. I'll just smash you over the head and take your Bitcoin then. Thank you.
Even the wolf has government. The most dictator and simplistic type of government there is. I'll kill you, and because I killed you, I'm in charge.
Yeah.
Now we don't have to act like wolves. We can act like humans and take care of each other.
Government
but the block. Is that again?
The government of the jungle. The lion.
Yeah. It's the bare necessities, the simple bare necessities. Don't worry about your something in your
Voice.
You should know the words of this song. I should know them too. I have a 3.5-year-old. I should know. Anyways, all right, moving on. Blockchain offers the ability for privacy and to be written in a way, and people far smarter than me can figure this out, where we can have a certain style of structure to the way we do business that protects us, right?
For sure.
And I'm okay with that. Bitcoin is the answer to a lot of problems, but it's not the answer to every monetary problem, folks. I look forward to Bitcoin. I will always be a maximalist when it comes to Bitcoin being the standard. But Bitcoin doesn't have to be the standard. You could disagree with me, and I'm open to having this disagreement. In fact, I'll do it live. Come join the show. Jim will moderate. And we can fight about this, or argue respectfully. Debate. That's the proper word, right? Anyways, all right, Jim. I've been talking a lot. What else is on your mind?
No, I mean, I like what you're saying. It makes sense. Well, and going back real quick to that headline you're talking about the Pentagon warns against using DNA kits. It's interesting that they're warning military members. So it does feel like they know something. Like why specifically are they warning military members? Do they know about some new airborne biohazard that can target your specific DNA, like a scentless poison that will only go after someone's specific DNA? I mean, I know that sounds crazy. It's not like a sci-fi movie, but I'm sure friggin' the internet sounded crazy in the 60s. What are we talking about here?
Actually, the way I would answer that, if I was, first off, as a realist, I would say the Pentagon's only in charge of the DoD, so they can only actually talk to the DoD. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not only specifically trying to be like, hey, Army folk, Marines, Airmen, Space Force, which just got created. By the way, I'm trying to join it as we speak. Apparently, I'm too old. I need a waiver or something. So I'm a little disappointed in that. But yeah, I mean, that would be my answer to you, would be that that's who they govern. That's who they have jurisdiction over in that sense.
Gotcha. Yeah. Because what do they say here? The increase in DNA swab tests at some international airports has played a role in the decrease of CIA personnel using aliases. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That some international airports will take a DNA test when you're going into the country or something. Who the fuck wants to do that?
And that's the downside of giving up freedom, is that eventually they want to take it too far, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So pushing back against regulation is not the enemy. Pushing back against regulation just sustains at least a way of living. Inga, by the way, just because I posted your comment up there, I like your new profile picture. It looks like a Borg. I'm going to call you 7 of 9 from here on out. Hopefully you know what that means.
Nice reps. Reps.
That's a Voyager comment. Voyager, by the way, I'm in season 6, finishing up season 6 right now. I go through them. I got
Have you watched it before?
Oh, of course. I'm a next generation guy with Jean-Luc Picard of the Federation Starship Enterprise, but obviously I enjoy a lot of the other series. The original series is just too hard to watch. It's very different than the Picard series, which is very ethical and morally based, and it's almost a little bit communistic, but it's because I can buy into it because they have a replicator. Jim, when you can replicate, are you familiar with a replicator?
I think you've told me about this before, but
okay, fair enough. But here, this is the future of blockchain in some capacity too. Is when you have a replicator, which means you have a device that can just grab the molecules and you can insert the molecules necessary to just literally recreate anything, whether it be a hot pot of coffee or whether it be, a new car, when possessions are not governed by financial, opportunities, but more so, what do you want, right? When those possessions are just able to be created because you want that, money becomes not that big of a deal, right?
Because you could just create anything. So
And
no one
all
agree.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's where I believe if you can live in that existence, you know what? We can have a conversation about Karl Marx, right? But until that son of a bitch becomes a reality, the replicator in this reference, I can't have that conversation.
Although, and I feel like in a reality where the replicator gets created, the creator of the replicator is going to want a little bit more than everyone else because he's going to be like, well, I created this thing, so I should get a little.
Satoshi didn't feel that way.
Even if I get like $5 more at the end, if it ends up being $5 more than everyone else, I want $5 more.
Well, actually, I take that back. Satoshi did put $1 million aside, so he's like, whatever.
Ing in the chat saying watching Battlestar Galactica. I was actually going to ask if you watched the reboot. What was it, like the mid 2000s, the Battlestar?
Yeah. I watched it the same time period as Lost was on, right?
Yes.
So Lost and Battlestar Galactica were both on simultaneously, and I was a huge Lost fan until like the third season, and I still watched it religiously. But I mean, like it got, looking back, hindsight, lost its direction. They were the one that was lost, were the writers, not the show.
Still a hell of a journey, though. Even if
absolutely,
it's still a hell of a fun show to watch at the time.
I don't regret watching any of it, but it was a lot cooler in seasons 1, 2, and even 3. And then it got a little bit like, what? Stop! Like, let's go back to the others, right? The people out in the woods. What's the sound? And I just felt like they could not fulfill the. But back to Battlestar Galactica is classic, Inga, and I will probably pick that up next just to kind of change it up a little bit. But are you watching the new one? Or are you watching the original? I'd like to know that answer.
Yeah, like this. I've never seen the original from like the 70s.
I tried it. It was not entertaining to me. It's kind of like watching the original series of Star Trek. It's just not there.
It's hard with stuff like that because when you watch it, you can understand why it's so like revolutionary for the time.
Absolutely.
You've also since you've seen the newer stuff that was like, affected by it, you've kind of seen that. So you don't need, like, it's hard to get into the vibe of like, oh, imagine if none of this existed before, because now you have to like adjust to the old timey effects, the lower budgets, stuff like that. I guess before we're out, then let me ask you, do you have any must watches? It is the Christmas season, Christmas right around the corner. Any Christmas movies, Christmas shows, stuff like that you watch every year, or your go-tos?
Oh man, that's a great question. I'm going to ask you the same after you put me on the spot like this. First off, I have a daughter who is interested in certain types of movies, and so the Christmas Story that plays is not necessarily the best show. I mean, it's weird for me to even say this because I've watched that show every Christmas. I can probably quote a lot of the Grinch as it's playing, at least. Maybe not offhand. Inga says Polar Express. That's always a classic, obviously. But the Grinch with Jim Carrey, that I have to say that's the must watch. That I'll be watching it. I've watched it every night, I think, except 2 or 3 over the last 40 or 50 days, getting ready for Santa to come. So I'm very, I guess, tired of it. But if I had to watch anything else, I'd be like, oh man, I'd probably miss the Grinch.
Well, what about the cartoon one though? What about the OG one?
Classic, yeah, no, classic. But the kids just don't. I mean,
yeah, they want to watch the movie. It's got Jim Carrey hamming it up. It's got the cool makeup.
There's even a newer one since then, by the way. Did you know that?
From last year? Yeah. That one's pretty good too.
It is. But she likes the person one. She's like, this is not real. I'm like, you're right, babe. Let's watch this one.
Well, I've been on the Universal Studios tour. They still have like the Whoville area set up. You kind of walk.
Dude, they did well with that. I mean, that's. It looks like they could have, if they created that today and it was released today, I would not be surprised at the graphics and how it was created. That's how well they did. What about you, Jim? What are your must watches?
I got a few go-tos. I watch Bad Santa every year. It's my favorite.
That's hilarious.
I know it's obviously edgy. I mean,
Alice is not going to be a huge fan of.
Yeah, you got to get at home or something. You can't throw that on. But I mean, I watch Charlie Brown every year, of course. And I guess going edgy again, I try to watch Krampus every year. I don't know if you've seen that. That's like it's like it's
The
horror,
dark side of Christmas, bro.
but it's like like Gremlins. I watch Gremlins every year too. It's technically maybe not a Christmas movie, but kind of. But yeah,
I can buy that. Yep.
and well, my girlfriend, we watched all the Santa Claus movies, the Tim Allen ones, like Santa Claus 1.
Dude, those were fun.
They're
Because
fun.
we were the same age. Like I think what 11, 12 when those started, or maybe even younger, like 9 or 10 for me when those started coming out. Like I love those movies.
Yeah, those are fun movies. So yeah, I got a few go-tos for sure.
C. Mohammed said, you didn't answer my question. Let me look up, Simo. Let me find out what you asked. Hold on a second. Yeep, 100%, he said. Going on up. How and when will Bitcoin solve the problem of fluctuation? Okay, so this is a good way to kind of slow it down and finish it off. Fluctuation is I'm assuming you mean like the volatility of the price in this question. And I'm going to assume that, and I'm going to answer it that way. Here's the beautiful part about that, Simo, is Bitcoin doesn't solve that. Humans are going to be the ones who solve that, right? The Bitcoin price is relative to what me and you believe it's worth. Like there's a certain price where it's so cheap that me and you will spend $5 that we needed to go and get our Starbucks coffee. Like, hell no, I'm going to buy Bitcoin because it's about to go up. That is the bottom, the low, where we just see it like, oh my God, I got to buy it right now. That's the true value of Bitcoin when everybody else in the whole world will be like, holy shit, it's so low, I got to buy. And then there's this, what does people who need to buy and sell it right now feel like is worth it? And then there's this, what price are people willing to reach to because now they're scared they're going to miss out? So will Bitcoin ever solve that problem? I hope not, honestly. I don't need it to. So I don't have an exact answer that you're looking for, but I can say I love the ride and I love the way that it goes up and down. So hopefully you're not mad at me for that question or that answer, Simo, but I have to stand by and say it's humans. It's a free market. People can do whatever the hell they want to do. And so the price of Bitcoin can change because humans have emotions. And this is a very, very, very emotional market, period. So yeah. I don't think it'll ever be solved. And if it does, it's no longer a decentralized effort.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like if it keeps going up, it'll start hitting a point where obviously it'll level out more because it would just be, it almost price people out from being able to like manipulate it as much with these huge, dips and rises. But yeah, to what you're saying, it also does feel like it should always be like almost like a living organism in a way.
It is. It's a direct reflection of human emotion, and in even the most emotionless traders, they're still using some sort of emotion that says, I'm going to buy here, I'm going to sell here. I just don't care. Right. And when people say trade emotionlessly, that actually means don't care if the price goes up and down. Follow the charts, right? Use it as a math problem. Do it as a fact. This is what it says, but that doesn't always work either. But Simo, to really hammer home the point here is that the stock market, it goes up, it comes down, but it does it gradually, right? What does that tell me? That somebody is making sure that it's safe. And if that's the case, that's manipulation. So the manipulation that happens in the Bitcoin market is really just free market. You can do whatever the hell you want to do. If you got a bunch of Bitcoin, you want to sell it all today, fucking do it. If you want to hold it forever, fucking do it. It doesn't matter. It's a free market. It cannot be manipulated. It is only subjected to humans and how they perceive if they want to buy or sell. That's it. And that is not manipulation. That is literally a free market.
Hell yeah. Well said. That's the exclamation point.
Please drop the jewel.
Yeah.
Anyways, all right. Well, we're over an hour now, folks, and we're going to call it a night. I hope everybody understands that this is the cryptoverse, and it belongs to all of us. Jim Scampoli, any final words before we head off for Christmas?
Well, this holiday season, you keep that in the back of your head, what Joe just told you. It belongs to all of us. So what are you doing about it? We kind of know what we're doing about it. So what are you doing about it? Till next time.
We'll see you soon. WBTC, where Bitcoin lives, everybody. Merry Christmas, happy holidays, and whatever makes you feel the best. I wish Bitcoin the best wishes. We'll do a New Year's show coming up. We'll probably have one more show. We're going to keep it a little bit short this week, but we'll see you soon, everybody. Bye-bye.
See you.